Hey, I'm Pedro, and I'm a millennial. Which basically means the Nintendo DS was my go-to game system for my early teenage years. That little clamshell was always in my pocket, and I probably spent more time staring at its two tiny screens than actually talking to other human beings. You can also choke that to me being slightly autistic, but let's not get into that right now. Back then, I had an R4 and way too much internet freedom. So I end up playing games that barely anyone else even touched. Stuff that feels more like playground rumors than actual DS releases. Now, everyone knows Mario Kart DS. That's the gold standard. Still one of the best games on the system, and honestly, it still holds up. But here's the thing, once Mario Kart hit, the DS library got buried in racing games. Some were fine, some were hot garbage. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm pulling out the weird ones. A few I remember from back then, and a few I just found while researching for this video. And because this is YouTube, I'm ranking them, with Mario Kart DS sitting up top as the S tier. Oh, and I also just got a 3DS capture card, so I needed an excuse to flex it. These are obscure Nintendo DS racing games you've never heard of. First up, one I actually played a lot back in the day, Cartoon Network Racing. This was my main kart racer until I found Mario Kart. And once I did, well, let's just say babies born the last time I played this game can already drive. But revisiting it now, I had to ask, does it hold up, like, at all? Releasing in 2006, the DS version is technically a port of the PlayStation 2 game. On the PS2, it tried to copy Double Dash, with a driver and co-driver system. On the DS, yeah, well, the DS version doesn't do any of that. So yeah, no handheld Double Dash for you. That's not necessarily a bad thing, and since I never played the PS2 game, I won't be comparing the two. So first up, the roster. You only get characters from Cartoon Network's original 6 shows. Courage the Cowardly Dog, Counting Chicken, Dexter's Lab, I Am Weasel, Johnny Bravo, and the Powerpuff Girls. Cute idea, but man, what a waste! By 2006, Cartoon Network had so many heavy hitters. Ed, and Eddie, Kids Next Door, Samurai Jack, Ben 10, The Green Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and hell, some of them even show up in the intro logo, and then just vanish from the actual game, so what's up with that? Same deal with the tracks. Limiting everything to just those 6 shows means the devs ran out of ideas pretty quick. Some tracks are based on actual cartoon worlds, others are just generic cartoon tropes, like, Wild West Desert number 47. And the contrast between the two is hilarious. You'll be racing through Dexter's Lab at one moment, then suddenly you are in a dollar store Looney Tunes land, who also could have been in this game, now that I think about it. Okay, but maybe the gameplay makes up for it? No. It's not unplayable, but it's janky. Cars feel slippery and heavy at the same time, drifting turns you at a full 9 degrees, and bumping into other racers has zero impact. Track design swings from kinda fun to why am I even here? And the items? It's generic as hell. None of them tie into the cartoons unless you squint really hard and go, maybe that's from Dexter's Lab? The one unique mechanic is the star meter. You can collect stars around the track to fill it up, but it also fills whenever you land a hit on someone. Sounds neat, right? But it's completely busted. Some powers are broken and some are useless. DD is OP, by the way. I'll give the game this, it looks decent. Characters and roles actually translate decently into DS's 3D, but performance stinks on certain tracks. But the biggest insult? There's no versus mode if you're playing alone. So you are stuck grinding through Grand Prix, even if you just want a quick race. All I'm saying is, 12-year-old me knew what was up. The second I got my hands on Mario Kart DS, this game was done. And that's despite me loving a lot of these characters already. It just didn't hold a candle against it. And I have a feeling that that's gonna be a running theme in this video. To end on something positive for this game, you can actually unlock a few cartoon episodes to watch anytime. Portable video on the DS, which was kinda wild back then. And credit where it's due, The little pixel art icons for the characters you see in the bottom screen map are very cute. And yeah, that's about all the nice things I've got. From one game that had no Ben 10 to one that's all Ben 10. Ben 10 Galactic Racing came out pretty late on the DS's life. So late in fact that it even got a 3DS version. And just like the last game, it's another downscaled port of a console racer. I never even touched any version of this game, so this is me going fresh. This one has a sort of story mode where you race through multi-track cups, unlocking characters and collecting trophies along the way. In the Versus mode, thank you. I know it's nothing groundbreaking, but hey, it's more structured than the last game. And gameplay-wise, yeah, it's an improvement. Not a miracle, but it controls better, it feels tighter, and the items are more creative. Alongside the usual Mario Kart inspired stuff, you've got Omnitrix power-up thingies scattered across the track. These can either give you a boost, like a mushroom from Mario Kart, or trigger your character's special ability, it's your choice. If you're playing as Ben, you can actually cycle through a few alien forms with the shoulder button. For example, Big Chew leaves ice patches behind. Ghost Freak turns you invisible. Other characters don't get the same variety though. They are stuck with just one move. But it is still a lot more creative than most licensed kart games manage to do. Track design here is also a step up. They feel more thought out, though some can drag out on a little too long. And the story mode will make you replay the same tracks multiple times, which wears thin pretty quick. And then the graphics. This is where things fall apart, because for a game that plays better, it sure doesn't look like it. The textures are way too detailed for the DS screen. So instead of clarity, you just get mush, like someone smeared Vaseline over the screen. So yeah, it's not awful, but not memorable either. It's competent, it works, but it's just about as exciting as Heated Leftovers. Which, honestly, might be worse than just being bad. At least Cartoon Network Racing was interesting to look back on. This one just sort of exists. So here's some footage of the 3DS version in case you're curious. Just because I can now. By the way, the 3DS one is a much better game, and I was actually having fun recording this. But since it's not the focus of the video, let's move on. Starting up this next game gave me such whiplash for the first time that I'm just gonna let the intro play out raw. No commentary, just watch it and tell me if you can guess what game this is before the title shows up. So how did you do? Anyway, Wacky Racers Crash and Dash was developed and published by fucking idols. Yes, Tomb Raider and Deus Ex idols. Released in 2008 for both Wii and DS. I never touched the Wii version and I have zero intention of ever touching it. Now, I know what Wacky Racers is, that Hanna-Barbera cartoon with Dick Dastardly, Muttley, and the gang. I suppose I don't remember any other character other than him too. But let's be real, in 2025 this IP is irrelevant, and in 2008 it wasn't exactly at the height of its cultural peak either. So yeah, I don't know what's up with that. To give credit where it's due, it actually looks nice. The DS version is a competent translation of the cartoon into 3D, and the developers at least tried to do something different from Mario Kart. The problem is that different, in this case, meant turning it into a touch-screen racer. 4 years into the DS's life, and honestly I thought the whole touch-first gimmicky was dying out. But nope, here it is, alive and kicking. And to be fair, it's not the worst thing ever. It's certainly better than Pokémon Dash, since you don't have to constantly swipe just to move. Instead, you just tap where you wanna go, and your car goes, in a top-down view. Functional. And fun fact, Pokémon Dash was supposed to be on this list too, but I decided against destroying my brand new 3DS capture card, so sorry about that. Anyway, during races you can collect these little gear icons that act as power-ups, and you can have up to 2 at a time. Each one lets you trigger one of your character's special move, which usually means a touchscreen minigame. Swipe to throw rocks, tap to drop obstacles, that kind of thing. Your car also takes damage if you bump too much into other opponents. And guess what that means? Yep, another touchscreen minigame. This time dragging pieces of your car back into place, like a sad little puzzle. And then, ever so often, you hit a certain point in the track where there's a trap set by Dick Dastardly and Muttley, which explains why you can't play as them. And shocker, that's another touchscreen minigame. The traps do come with charming little cartoon cuttings, but they drag on way too long. And they switch the control scheme and camera angle, completely killing the flow of the race. And yes, this can happen multiple times per race. But the worst is when you're finally making up to the finish line. Do you just cross it like a normal human being? No, of course not. You have to blow into the DS's microphone to speed up your car. And no matter how many times I tried, I never got it to actually work. I'd be sitting comfortably in first place, the game would demand I spit into my handheld, and I would end up crawling across the line to 6th place or something. Yeah, this game sucks. And honestly, the thought of some poor kid getting this as a gift from their grandma because she remembered watching Wacky Racers on TV, that's depressing. Alright, here's another one I actually used to play when I was younger. Speed Racer. And I remember really liking it. In fact, it's one of the few DS racers I kept coming back, even after Mario Kart. Which, if you've been paying attention so far, is already saying a lot. That said, it's been years since I came back to it. This game is another downscaled port, this time of the Wii and PS2 versions, all released in 2008 to promote the live-action Speed Racer movie. Which, by the way, pretty fucking good movie, amazing visuals, criminally underrated. Go watch it after this video if you've never watched it before. So, does the DS version hold up? Compared to everything so far, this feels night and day. This is a much more traditional racing game, no gimmicky touchscreen nonsense, just pure speed. I'm not a big speed racer guy, I don't know half of this roster, but one of them reminded me of Gilius Thunderhead, you know, from Golden Axe. So of course I had to pick him. The big twist here is that Speed Racer doesn't use items like Mario Kart. Instead it has Card Fu. Yes, that's actually what they call it. And as stupid as it sounds, it works. Basically, when you get close to another car, you can trigger a quick time event by pressing B. Then you gotta hit the right button at the right time, beat your opponent and smash their car while stealing their position. It sounds so dumb, but it's squeaky, it's satisfying, and it never interrupts the flow of the race. And the higher the difficulty, the faster and trickier it gets to get it right. On top of that, there's the zone meter. Fill it up and you can go into the zone for a massive speed boost. Basically Nitro with a cooler name. You build it by winning car full clashes, but also by pulling off stunts on ramps and half-pipes. Oh, and by drifting. Did I mention drifting? Because this game has some of the most fun driving controls I've ever seen on the DS. Every slide feels smooth and controlled, even when everything's flying by at breakneck speed. And honestly, all these mechanics could have collapsed into a mess of half-baked ideas. But here, they come together beautifully. The performance is rock solid, even at the absurd speeds of this game. The controls are tight, and the cars have just the right weight to them. Smashing into walls or bouncing off other racers feels impactful without ever losing control. It's intuitive in all the right ways. And the visuals? Gorgeous. Seriously, I don't know how the devs pulled this off on the DS hardware, but the game looks amazing in motion. The track design helps a lot too. So instead of falling into the usual Wild West, city, generic jungle trap we've seen so far, they went wild with loop-de-loops, crazy twists, and tracks that constantly keep you on your toes. It never gets samey or boring. There's even a solid variety of modes to keep you busy. So yeah, I don't know if it's just nostalgia talking. If Cartoon Network Racing is anything to go by, it probably isn't, but this game is just that good. Speed Racer on the DS is absolutely on the same level as Mario Kart DS, which means it's one of the best racing games on the system, period. Actually, thinking about it now, it might just be the closest thing we've ever got to an F-Zero game on the DS. But now, I'm scared, because we can only go downhill from here. Nah, it can't be that bad. Oh, oh. So, repeat after me, Shrek Smash and Crash Racing on the DS is a downscaled port of the console version. Yeah, what a shocker! This came out in 2007 and right away it feels like we're scrapping the bottom of the barrel. It's as generic as kart racers get. And speaking of scrapping, remember how Donkey and the Dragon had babies in Shrek 2? Yeah, this game shows you exactly how they did it. Thanks, I hate it. Anyway, there are only 4 racers on the track at the same time, which sounds fine until you realize that being 4th place isn't mid-pack anymore. It's literally the last place. So every race either feels like you're dominating or like you're eating shit at the back. And the controls, awful. Turning and drifting is so slippery, it feels like every track is greased up with butter. And the track variety isn't doing it any favors either. You've got a forest, then another forest, and oh hey, another forest, but slightly different. And the music might just be the worst part. It sounds like the DS is screaming for help, while trying to play an off-brand version of Smash Mouth's All-Star. Take a listen. The one tiny silver lining is that the graphics are surprisingly solid. Shrek and his world actually look decent here, and it runs at what seems to be a smooth 60 FPS the whole time. Now, I know I've been giving a lot of these games credit for looking decent, and you might be thinking to yourself, these don't even look that good. Which, fair, but trust me, you haven't seen the real bottom yet. Let me introduce you to Madagascar Kartz. Released in 2009 for basically everything, with the DS, of course, getting its own downscaled port. And my god, this game is brutal. Not only it's ugly as hell, but it runs like absolutely hot garbage. And it's not even there's a lot happening either, there are only 6 racers in each race. Somehow, this came out almost 2 years after Shrek Smash and Crash, and manages to be worse in literally every way. The karts handle like tanks, the turning is atrocious, and if you even try to drift, the game just whips you into a 9-degree turn. Drifting doesn't even give you a boost like in Mario Kart, and instead it literally fills your turbo, which you can use at any time. Regardless, this might be the worst of the worst when it comes to DS racing games. Wait, hold on. Bob from Monsters vs Aliens is unlockable? Okay, now I have to get him. So after playing and mastering this dumpster fire of a game, I finally got first place in every cup. Which didn't take long, since there are only 4 cups and each has just 3 tracks, with half of them being the same thing but in reverse. Shocker, I know. And I finally unlocked him. Was it worth it? No, not at all. But here's a victory lap with him, just, to celebrate. Now the question is Madagascar Kartz truly the worst racing game on the DS? Well, I've still got a few more entries to check, so let's see. Cocoto Kart Racer? What the fuck is a Cocoto? Apparently, it's a series of games by Nico Entertainment, and I had to check the Cocoto wiki for that one, which, yeah, exists, because I've literally never heard of this thing before. But turns out, it's a franchise, if not a very, very obscure one. And hey, at least it's not another licensed kart racer, that's new. Instead, Cocoto Kart Racer was released on basically everything between 2005 and 2009. That means PC, Java phones, and even the iPhone. So of course, the DS got a version 2. It's another generic Mario Kart clone with nothing interesting to say. And look, I get it when a kid ends up with one of the licensed games on this list. Parents see Shrek or Ben 10 or Madagascar and grab it. But Cocoto? Imagine getting this instead of Mario Kart. I genuinely pity those kids. I'm so sorry if that's you, but man, you need therapy probably. But hey, I'll give you this much. At least it runs fine, which automatically makes it better than Madagascar Kartz. Next up is Herbie Rescue Rally. Yes, the Volkswagen Beetle. This is a tie-in to the 2005 Lindsay Lohan movie Herbie, Fully Loaded. I vaguely remember it airing on Disney Channel once or twice, and that's about it. That's the knowledge I have of this movie. Now here's the weird part. The movie came out in 2005, like I just said, but the game didn't show up until 2007, which means they completely missed the mark for any kind of cross-promotion. And it released only on the DS, so yeah, for the first time in this list, no console port, no PC version, just the DS. So, being made just for the DS, is it any good? Of course it isn't, why would you ask that? You should know better by now. It's yet another Mario Kart clone with uninspired graphics and bland presentation. And remember how I complained about drifting in other games, snapping you into 9-degree turns? Well, Herbie Rescue Rally might just have the worst drift of them all. It just feels broken. Still, I don't think I would call it worse than Madagascar Kartz. If nothing else, it at least looks and performs okay. Well, but believe it or not, I think I've actually found it. The worst of the worst DS racing game. Yes, even worse than Madagascar Kartz. M&M's Kart Racing. So, before we dive in, this game was released in 2007 on the Wii and in 2008 on the DS. Which already makes me ask, who wanted this? And oh my god, I don't think I've ever come across a game this bad before. The first red flag hits immediately. The main menu is just a migraine-inducing mess of colors flying around, but nothing could have prepared me for when the race actually started. What am I looking at? What is this camera angle? The view is just glued too close to your kart. You can even see ahead of you because your huge ass M&M is blocking your view. And the camera snaps behind you every time you so much as nudge the D-pad. Then, the moment you turn, it just gives up. It can't keep up. And the graphics? The draw distance is laughable, like the game's trying to hide the track from you out of shame. The layouts are also boring to begin with. And then you realize every track is just one single lap. But that one lap feels like it repeats the same stretch of road over and over and over again. Performance-wise, it's somehow worse than Madagascar Kartz, and worse than an Unreal Engine 5 game running on modern hardware. The frame rate is abysmal, the controls never feel consistent, and the whole thing is just broken. Honestly, playing this game felt less like kart racing and more like an LSD-induced nightmare. I was actually getting headaches trying to play this game. Ladies and gentlemen and everything in between, this is it, a game worse than Madagascar Kartz. A true bottom of the barrel experience. Like, what even is this? How did this get pitched, developed, tested, approved, and shipped? Every step of the process should have been someone yelling stop, and yet here it is, somehow. Whew. I need a palate cleanser after this. So how about we finally look at a racing game on the DS that I know is actually good. Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing came out in 2010 for basically everything with a screen at the time, much like Cocoto Kart Racer. Consoles, PC, DS, and yes, even Java phones. But here's the difference this time. The DS version isn't just some sad stripped-down cousin of the console release. It actually holds up on its own. Sure, some things had to be scaled back, but for the most part, it plays nearly identical. And it looks and runs great on the DS too. The structure is classic kart racer. You've got cups with multiple tracks, time trials, missions, and a roster of Sega characters, each with their own signature vehicles and special moves. Sonic, of course, is in a car to be fair against the other racers. Although Opa Opa doesn't need a car to race somehow, so I don't know what's up with that. Each character has an all-star move they can activate, which is basically their super attack. The tracks also lean into Sega history, with courses based on Sonic, Billy Hatcher, Super Monkey Ball, and so on. So yeah, this is a genuinely great game, deserved of a high ranking, but I still think it falls just a little behind Mario Kart DS and Speed Racer. Why? Well, the items. They're fine, but they're painfully generic. Missiles, traffic cones, bombs? They are more related to Dexter's lab from the first game than, any of these characters. The only one that really ties into a franchise is Sonic's shoes for a speed boost, and everything else could have been pulled from any budget kart racer. That said, one nice touch is that you can actually throw most items behind you. Sounds basic, but trust me, way too many DS racers on this list didn't even bother with that feature. And while graphics are nice, sometimes they tend to be a little too much for the DS, and just become a mushy mess, like Ben 10 Galactic Racing. So yeah, it's just nice to end this video on a high note after trudging through all the garbage that came before. Well, if you made it this far, no, I'm not gonna ask you to like and subscribe. Although, that would be very much appreciated. Instead, here's something different. My new place is still pretty empty, so why not recommend me something to decorate with? Like, maybe a plant, or posters, I don't know. Help me make this space feel more like home. Drop any suggestions you have in the comments, and while you are at it, let me know. Do you know any other obscure DS racing games? Or do you have any idea for future videos? And I really appreciate you sticking around. See you next time!